Welcome to Goodman's shop. Today we're going to work on a sand point and we're going to get it ready to put it in the ground. I'm going to show you how to do that, but first we got to get the sand point ready. Now this is what I call a sand point. Some people call them well points, okay? Some people call them screed pipe. You pick. It's not really you can't really drive this thing because this is plastic. This is 1.25 inch PVC, Schedule 40 plastic. It's got a plastic point on it. I guess that's what they make. They think you can drive this. You hit this thing with a hammer and it's all done. What it is, if you can see, it's got little slits in it all the way around it, the whole length, 5 feet. Okay, these slits are supposed to be 0.010 of an inch opening, so they won't pass anything heavy. Anything that goes in here is going to have to be less than 0.010 of an inch in diameter. Okay, so we're going to show how you get this ready. But this happens to be 5 feet. You can get them in 4 feet, 3 feet. I like the 5-footer because the water enters it slower velocity, so it tends to bring in less trash that you don't want. Okay, now I'm going to show you what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of this plastic end. We don't need this. We're just going to take a hacksaw and we're going to put it in about 1/2 inch from the end here, and we're going to cut this end off. Sometimes this is glued in pretty tight, and really the easiest thing to do is just to cut this off and make sure you cut enough of the point off that goes inside of it. So rather than mess around with it and booger this thing up, we're just going to make one more cut here. That's it. Now we got a nice clean end on it. Now this is a check valve. It's 3/4 inch PVC, 3/4 inch both sides, glue type. So you got to glue something in here, okay? And we will in a little bit. But first of all, we got to get this thing to fit in here. And this one doesn't fit. The pipe on this pipe measures on the inside 1.350 This measures on the outside, not counting these ribs, but just on the outside, this measures 1.400. So there's a 50 thousandths difference in this thing. Now, a lot of times you can buy these check valves that are almost identical size as this. And in fact, they would, once you grind these little nibs off, it'll go right in, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this on the grinder. We're gonna grind off all these little nibs on here. And I'm gonna grind about 25 thousandths off of this, which should be 25 thousandths a side, which is 50 thousandths, which should make it want to go into here. Okay, and we got to grind it off. We got to look at which way the check valve's going. This check valve is going in this pipe. So if we blow water in the back end of it, it'll come out here. Okay, so let me grind this off. We've ground some of it off, and we'll see. Still doesn't go in there. A little more. That might be a little tight yet. We might do a little more on that. It should fit. It fits pretty snug. I'm gonna do a little more. That's better. Now this, we're gonna glue in here. But before that, we gotta do one thing first. One of the things that we need is a piece of 1/2 inch pipe. And that's what this is, Schedule 40. It's 6 feet long, that's kind of important. It's gotta be a foot longer than the well point, okay? I have glued on the end male 1/2-inch pipe thread fitting onto here, the standard fitting, okay? On the other end, I've glued on a coupler, okay? Just a PVC to PVC coupler. You'll see where that's going next, okay? Now, this is our check valve. I've ground this down so it'll fit inside of our sand point, okay? I've also glued in a fitting in the end of there, okay? This is the part that's going to go in to our sand point, and I've also glued in a 3/4 inch glue fitting to 1/2-inch pipe. So this is 1/2-inch pipe, okay? So now we're ready to put this on. This is that 6-foot piece of pipe. Put a little tape on here because we want this thing to be able to come off, and we're going to screw this on here. This one's kind of hard, but it doesn't have to go on very far because this is going to be unscrewed after a while, okay? And that's what it looks like. Now we're going to take the sand point and this thing, and this is going to go inside of the sand point, like so. And it should be just about like that. I don't know if you can see that. Inside. This is the part, the purple part is the part I ground down to make it fit in here. And you want it kind of snug, you know, it doesn't have to be real snug because we're going to glue it. So that's the next thing we're going to do. Let me turn this thing around. We're going to put a little cleaner inside here. Okay, and we've already got some on here. And we're going to take our glue and put it on here. Nice healthy dose of it. I'm going to put some inside this pipe. Okay. We're going to glue them together. Like so. Now, we've got the check valve glued into the sand point. Inside the sand point, we've got a 1/2-inch piece of PVC that's threaded into here. At some point in time, we'll take that out, but not right now. Now it looks like this, and you can see where we've got this piece sticking out the end. And that'll make sense. That'll make sense a little later why we do that. One thing I want to do to this one, and the way we're going to put this well down is we're going to blow it down with water, okay? So the velocity of the water is kind of important, okay? Right now we got a big hole here, okay? Now if you got a lot of water that you're going to be blowing down this pipe, you can probably leave it just like that. I'm saying a lot, over 6 gallons a minute, okay? I think where I'm going to put this one in at my daughter's house, we don't have that much water, so I need to make this hole a little smaller. So we reduce the gallons per minute, and we sacrifice and we go in for pressure. We want it to blow out of here because we want it to blow the dirt away so this thing will go down. So what I've got to start with is this. Remember, this is 3/4 inch, so this is a 3/4 inch PVC fitting to female Schedule 40 1/2-inch pipe. Okay, now I'm going to glue that in here. Now what I can do now is I can put a small pipe nipple in here made out of steel, screw that in there, and it'll increase the velocity of the water. So it's kind of more like a hose with a nozzle on the end washing a driveway. It comes out with some velocity and force, and that's what you want, because we want to be able to displace the sand. So I'm going to glue this in there. I'll use a little cleaner. Put a little cleaner on here. We got this done. One more thing we need to do to here. We need to put a coupler on here. We're not going to do that right now. What's going to go on here now is a 20-foot piece of Schedule 40 PVC, 1.25 inch diameter. Now, some of the PVC pipe that you buy in a 20-foot stick, 20 feet long, and you can use two 10-foot pieces if you want, it doesn't make any difference. Some of the pieces will have a bell end on it, which means it has the equivalent of this coupling on the end of the 20-foot PVC. One end would be this size, and one end would be this size. Okay, some of them that way. If it's that way, you put that end on here. Okay, you don't need this. Okay, now we'll go on to the next part. One more piece that you need for this project is this. This is going to go on the very top on the last section of pipe. Okay, and basically all it is, it's a brass adapter that allows you to go to hose connection. So your garden hose would fit on here, screw on here. This happens to be a female hose pipe, or I'm sorry, female hose bib on this end, and this is female 3/4 inch pipe. And you can get 1/2 inch pipe on this, and it doesn't really make any difference, but depending upon how you do it, then this fitting is a 3/4 inch PVC to 3/4 inch male pipe, so it screws on here. Okay, and then we've adapted it down to 1/2 inch PVC, comes over here 90, another 90, and goes over this, and this is just a connector. Okay, so when you put this pipe together, you're going to lay it on the ground, and you're going to take the sand point, lay that on the ground, and you're going to hook a 20-foot piece, a 1/2 inch PVC pipe. You're going to glue that to the sand point. Let me get the sand point so I can show you. If you remember, our sand point has got the check valve on the end with a threaded piece, so we can put in a little piece of pipe so we get more velocity. Okay, our sand point. And then remember, we've screwed this into the check valve on the other end, so this is just screwed in, not tight. It should be so you can turn it with your hand, okay? And we've got this piece coming out. So you're going to take first you're going to lay this on the ground. You're going to take a 20-foot piece of this stuff, okay? And you're going to glue it on here, okay? After that's done, if you need a connector, like so, you have to get one, put it on here. Or your 1.25" PVC pipe may have a bell end on it, and if it does, put that end on here. Okay? So now you got this laying on the ground. You got a 20-foot piece of 1/2-inch pipe glued onto here. Okay? Now you're going to take a 20-foot piece of 1.25" Schedule 40 PVC, slide it over the whole thing, and glue it here, tight. Glue it. Now when you're all done, the very end of that pipe should look something like this. You got the end of the 20-foot piece. I'm talking about the very end now. We've added 20 feet, but it looks something like this. Okay? We've got the Schedule 40 and then this piece, okay? And that's where this piece is going to go on. You're going to glue this on the end of that 20-foot 1/2-inch pipe that's sticking out of the 20-foot 1.25" PVC pipe. You'll glue that on there. So it's going to look, when it's all done, it's going to look something like this. We actually would like this pipe to be much closer to this one. Now pretend that you're looking at 20 foot down where these pipes come together, okay? If this is sticking out too far, you got to cut it off and then glue this on, okay? And once that's glued on, we want to tape this really good with either electrical tape or duct tape. Tape it good so as to hold it, give it some strength, and also to prevent water from coming out. So you want to, 5 or 6 good wraps, maybe even more of duct tape would do it, and that would be good, okay? So when you're all done, that's what it's going to look like at the very end. Okay? You're going to put your garden hose on here, screw it on here, and don't turn the water on. The minute you turn the water on, this pipe gets really heavy. Okay? So now you put your garden hose on here, and you can tape your garden hose to this 20-foot section of PVC pipe. Tape it every 2 feet or something like that. Just tape it around to hold it, okay? Okay, then you want, when you're all done with that, you want to stand this pipe up, and you want to have something to kind of guide it. If you're working close to a tree, you could tie it on a branch of a tree, make a loop, and stick this thing through the loop, just so it holds the top of the pipe a little bit. You don't want it bending over like this or bending over, so something to hold it. You can run a rope between 2 trees and put an eye in the middle and just shove this whole 9 yards up through that. You could make like a 10-inch loop or something, and that would allow it to move a little bit, back and forth, and that would be fine. Okay? So that's what the whole thing's going to look like when you stand it up. Now, you probably want to dig a hole with a post hole digger as deep as you can. That kind of helps to orientate you to get this thing to go straight. Sometimes I've taken a 3-inch piece of PVC pipe and dug a hole as deep as I could and leveled that pipe, make sure that pipe is level, and then fill in on the side of it, and then drop this down the middle, and it just makes sure it keeps it going straight. Okay? So when you got it all done and you got it situated where you've got this down in your hole that you dug, so it's going to be like so, okay? The process at this point is to turn the water on and hold on to this pipe, okay? This pipe, by the weight of it, is going to want to drop, obviously, so you have to kind of hold it up a little bit. And you've got to just kind of feel this pipe and let it drop by itself. No hard pushing on. You can push a little bit, but not real hard. And you can kind of bounce it just a little bit, but nothing violent, because this is plastic, serrated plastic. You'll break it, okay? Then you got to start all over. Who wants to do that? So you don't want to just let go of the pipe, because sometimes it'll drop too fast And if it drops too fast, it ends up getting stuck. Because the whole idea of this, you're washing a hole for this pipe to go down. So you just kind of go like this, up and down, and it'll keep going. If your ground is sandy, it could take 10 minutes and you're done. Okay, it could take 2-3 hours. You know, you just got to stay with it. And as you drop down, the hose that's taped on the side, take the tape off, push the hose over to the side, keep going until you've got this thing down to within about a foot of the ground. The top is sticking out of the ground about a foot. You don't need to go any deeper. And going any deeper than 20 feet is really a waste of time. If there's no water there, you know, the best pump in the world won't pull water over 32 feet, and that's just a fact. Okay, so if we're talking about a 5-foot piece here and a 20-foot piece of pipe, that's 25 feet. That's as deep as reliably any pump is going to pull water. Okay, or lift the water. So that's how it's done. Now, when you're done, you've got what looks like this sticking out of the ground about a foot above the ground. Okay? At that point in time, you're going to want to take the tape off of here, and you're going to take this pipe and you're going to turn it counterclockwise. And what you're trying to do is unscrew that piece out of this check valve. Now, don't worry about if it breaks off. That's no big deal. You can leave this pipe in there if you want. It's not going to hurt anything, okay? Although it probably would get in the way, you'd have to cut it off right here, but it's not going to hurt anything. So, but it doesn't need to be in there either. And once you unscrew this, the check valve is automatically got it closed off anyway, so you're good to go. So unscrew this, pull that. That's going to be a 25-foot piece of half-inch PVC. Unscrew it, take it out, do whatever you want with it. You're done with it. At this point in time, what I like to do is take an air tank with some air, and actually I'll stick this before I pull this all the way out. I'll unscrew it, lift it up about 2 feet, and put air in here. And the air in here will go down, and of course the air will try to get out, so it comes back up. And when it comes back up, it takes all the crap that's inside this pipe up with it. And it's a good way to kind of purge the pipe and purge some of the water. And for a couple minutes, I'll blow air in there. Most of the small compressors, you can blow for about 30 seconds, and then you got to wait, shut it off, wait for the compressor to build up, turn it on again. I do that about 4 times. And that helps to clean it all out, okay? And then you put your pump on here, prime it, and you ought to be good to go. Any questions, give me a holler. It's kind of important you do it just like I said, or it may not work. Good luck.